Joining me on the Mercedes-Benz Vans phone line from the worldwide leader in sports, where he is carving himself a terrific career in broadcasting. You'll see him on NFL Live at 4 Eastern later today. He's Ryan Clark. How are you, Ryan?
Doing well, Rich. How are you?
I am hanging in there, man. I'm wondering what you thought of last night's Thursday night game and where this leaves the Pittsburgh Steelers with only a handful of games left in this season.
Yeah, I mean, it really puts them in a tough situation. You win a huge division game against the Baltimore Ravens, which gives you an opportunity to be in the wild card race. And really, with the way the AFC North is going, if you can string together some wins, maybe an opportunity to contend to win the division. But you go to Minnesota, a team that just lost to the Detroit Lions, and you're physically dominated in the first half. And Coach Tomlin pointed to it after the game. He said, we were JV up front on both sides of the line of scrimmage. And you can't win football games that way. And then you look at your team, and in the second half, Big Ben Roethlisberger shows the heart of a champion. He fights to get this team back in the game. And then it's the immaturity. It's the self-centeredness. It's the selfishness of a guy like Chase Claypool, who was more interested in getting the eyes on him because he got a first down. One, you're paid to get first downs, and you don't have to celebrate every single one of them. You get a first down in a situation where we've seen guys like Larry Fitzgerald, who's a future first ballot Hall of Famer, sprint to the official, hand him the football, and line up in order to get his team another play. But it was more important to Chase Claypool that he have eyes on him, that he get to do what he said was my celebration instead of what the team needed. And then you get a huge play by Harrison Smith at the end of the game on Pat Freiermuth, and you don't have an extra play because of someone else's selfishness. I think that's a hard pill to swallow if you're another part of that team, if you're a coach or if you're one of those other 52 players who will be dressed out. And so to me, when I look at that, I think that as an organization, this is what the Pittsburgh Steelers are now. You're a team that can't be physical, and you're a team that cares more about likes and more about getting social media views than you do actually winning football games.
That is something else. And the irony is that Claypool and Larry Fitzgerald were same number 11, and it's just, you know. So let's just put a pin in that for a second and kind of hit what you just said, not physical and liking, you know, needing more likes than actual plays on the field. That is so not Mike Tomlin. So how does something like this happen in Pittsburgh, Brian?
I used to attribute it to, the generations changing. Obviously, this is a part of what life is, but I think it's all about leadership. When we were in Pittsburgh, we grew up with Coach Tomlin. Coach Tomlin was younger than some of the players on our team. We had guys like James Ferrier. You had guys like the Hines Ward. You had true leaders in the locker room that Coach Tomlin could lean on to communicate the exact same message that he was giving in front of the rooms on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays to the locker room. I don't think you have that as much anymore. When you lose guys like Marquise Pouncey, Ramon Foster, Vince Williams, some of the dudes who were the holdovers from that other era. And this kind of started with the Facebook Live from Antonio Brown, and I don't want to harp on Antonio Brown or put any other things or negativity on him, but you go from Antonio Brown being the leader in the wide receiver room. Then it goes to Juju Smith-Schuster, who obviously had the infamous TikTok, I guess I'll call it scandal, or TikToking on the logo of other teams in the middle of the field. And then you have the Cincinnati Bengals game where Von Bell blows him up, and it eventually leads to him no longer doing that. And now you go to Chase Claypool, who, if you remember, after they lose to Cleveland and get blown out at home at Heinz Field in the playoffs, is on social media saying, but you're going to lose to the Kansas City Chiefs. See, the Pittsburgh Steelers of old, they did their own winning, right? They did their own beating, right? They rectified their own challenges. But now this team will let Kansas City fix their problems or let Kansas City get their get back. I think it's just a totally different locker room than it used to be. And no matter what the message is in front of the room, Rich, if the players aren't buying into that, if the players aren't communicating and living that, then you don't see it on the grass. And I believe that's what's happening in Pittsburgh right now. And Coach Tomlin said it himself 2 weeks ago. I don't believe my message is resonating and getting through to these guys. And so either the guys have to change or the way the message is being delivered has to change.
Ryan Clark here on the Rich Eisen Show. So you have had, as it was just established, a front row seat to knucklehead behavior by wide receivers in Pittsburgh. How do you think Tomlin is handling Chase Claypool? Either already he did it last night or this morning. What do you think he's doing right now?
Well, one thing Coach Tomlin always does, Rich, is after the games, there's a select few plays he picks to show the team. And those plays could be good or bad. It could be, to show what someone is giving in order for the Pittsburgh Steelers to be good, or, the type of effort someone is playing with, or the type of intelligence someone is playing with. And also those things he shows negatively if you're not hustling, if you're not picking up blocks, if you're not tackling, whatever it is. And so Chase Claypool is going to be made example of this morning. He's going to be pointed out that, one, you don't do that from just an X's and O's football execution standpoint, right? A football intelligence standpoint, right? You understand that you are fighting for every single second, rush the ball to the referee, to the official. And then even then, when Trey Turner is trying to get the football from him, he's upset. And after the game, instead of taking accountability and pointing at himself that, okay, it's me, he says someone took the ball from me and that's why we couldn't get it to the official. No, you were celebrating. And so I think Coach Tomlin will have an opportunity to present that to the whole team while presenting it to Chase Claypool. And sometimes you get a message to everyone through one person. And I think that's the way that this will be approached with Chase Claypool in front of the team. But I'm pretty sure he also had a conversation with him after having to sit him on the sideline for a bonehead personal foul after a short first down catch in the first half.
So, Ryan Clark, what is the plan, do you think, for the quarterback spot in Pittsburgh? Your colleague, my former colleague, our friend Adam Schefter saying Big Ben's telling people this is his last year. I don't think that's any surprise. The contract screams that, obviously. His play sometimes does, too. You just mentioned the locker room's changed. He's got to be looking around saying what the hell's happened around here, too. So, put it all together. What is it? Like putting Aaron Rodgers' jersey on Kevin Colbert's hope chest? I mean, what do you think it is, Ryan?
I'm telling you, if you could get a guy like Aaron Rodgers, if you can get the assets together in order to do that, I think you do that right away. If you're Aaron Rodgers and you're watching this Pittsburgh Steelers team play right now, though, is that a place you want to be?
Nope.
I think, I think when you look at Chase Claypool as a player, you'd love to throw to him. Obviously, Deontay Johnson, to me, is a young Santonio Holmes. You'd love to throw to him. Pat Fryermuth, Najee Harris. You have skilled players, but you don't have anyone that blocks, right? Big Ben is under siege constantly. It's not necessarily an offense you want to be a part of. And so when I look at that team, I don't know what the next move is. Obviously, if Ben Roethlisberger is still the quarterback of this team right now, they don't feel like they have the answer in the locker room already or in the quarterback room already. And so is it draft one of these young guys? Can you hope that a Kenny Pickett falls to you? Is he mature enough to take over the reins, leaving from being a Pitt Panther to being a Pittsburgh Steeler? And so you have so much to truly weigh when it comes to making this decision. If you can get a veteran, I believe you do. But I look at Pittsburgh as a team that never wants to rebuild. If you start with a young quarterback, I believe you do. And so it'll be very interesting what GM Kevin Colbert decides to do once the offseason starts.
So where do you place the Vikings in this grand scheme of the NFC, where 6-7 is right on the outside looking in of the playoffs? Worst 6-7 team the best 6-7 team in the business, or most disappointing would be 10-win team in the business?
I'm going to have to go with the second one, Rich. I mean, matter of fact, look at last night, Rich. They're up 29 points, right? This game, for all intents and purposes, should be essentially over. You have a running back who has to get Gatorade after every carry because that's how far he gets to run. Like this dude, Dalvin Cook gets the ball, gets one carry, goes to the sideline because he just got 30 yards. And so, you're looking at this game and you're saying, okay, the Pittsburgh Steelers are not competing. But the Minnesota Vikings have this incredible talent to make everything really, really hard, to allow teams to make every single game, no matter how well they're playing, a close game. And you just can't believe in this team down the stretch, whether it's Kirk Cousins throwing interceptions or would-be interceptions when you go back to the Green Bay Packers, or Mike Zimmer not managing the clock, kickers not making the kicks that you need to take lead. They find ways to lose football games. And no matter if you're 6-7, if you're 7-6, whatever it is, your record is your record. This is a 6-7 team, but it's disappointing not because the roster says they should be 10 wins, Rich, because they've been in position to actually have 10 wins, and they found ways to lose those games. And that's the difference between championship teams and teams that don't make the playoffs at all. And right now, the Minnesota Vikings are a team that wouldn't make the playoffs at all, but absolutely should.
Which team do you trust the most in the NFC? You know, we use that parlance in our business, trusting the most, where you're like, okay, I think this is the team that's going to make it, even though they might not be the top seed, or maybe the top seed is the team you trust the most.
Yeah, it's extremely hard, right? Because when I look at the resume of 2021, it's like, how can you deny the Arizona Cardinals? This is a team that wins 2 out of 3 games with Colt McCoy at quarterback without DeAndre Hopkins, a team that's improved so much defensively. They obviously have the most wins in the NFL, a young quarterback. That's amazing. But a lot of times trust comes from history, right? Trust is something that's earned. And when you look at a team like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the way that they're playing now offensively with Rob Gronkowski back, it's hard to not say that that's your favorite. It's hard to not see a team that now gets Carlton Davis back at corner, Sean Murphy Bunting back at corner, not seeing that team improve once Mike Edwards returns from his suspension. And so when you look down the stretch with the way that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are trending, very similar to what it was last year heading into the playoffs, I'd have to say as far as trust, I trust them more. The team I think has been the best team of 2021 is the Arizona Cardinals.
What about the AFC? Sure looks like the football gods are winking at us with the Bucs looking like last year and the Patriots looking like Brady's first year there, like that's...
No, absolutely, Rich. I mean, about 5 weeks ago, I was on Get Up in the morning, and I was like, man, I was doing my production meeting call, and I thought to myself, and it was a very, very solemn thought, Rich, that really saddened me because I'm a Pittsburgh Steeler, and I was so tired of getting beat by the New England Patriots. I was like, man, the Patriots can go to the Super Bowl. And at the time, this team was nowhere near that. This team was a team that, wasn't even in the wild card position. And now they go on this run of consecutive wins. And then you beat the Buffalo Bills and you only throw the football 3 times. This is a team that's great on defense, a dominant run game, and the greatest NFL coach that's ever lived, and a quarterback who understands his place and makes the plays he's asked to make. Right now, I think that's the top team in the AFC, not just simply by record, but by actual play and film study. And the only thing that's ever going to cause you to pick against them in the playoffs is when number 15 from Kansas City comes around and that defense is still playing well. You'll say, hey, I'll take Pat over Mac. But right now, the New England Patriots, to me, are the front runner in the AFC.
Last one for you, Ryan Clark. You were there on the day of January 8th, 2012 in Denver, Colorado. You were not playing because of your blood condition, if I'm not mistaken. Back in the day, I'm referring to that playoff game where Tim Tebow found the now, I can't believe I'm saying the words, late Demaryius Thomas on the first ever snap of the new overtime rules. And that's how the Broncos beat the Steelers that day. What is your recollection of Demaryius Thomas, Ryan?
One, if you never met him or talked to him, Rich, and he didn't have a smile on his face, where he wasn't bringing joy to those around him. And I think that's something that goes underrated about a lot of these men. Also, too, if you look at all the things being posted of him, just so extremely active in the community. I think that was huge. But when you talk about a player, I mean, powerful, explosive, quick, great hands, strong. I mean, just truly everything that now when we get to the combine we're looking for in that position. And I think for someone who was once so strong, so athletic, to be gone at 33, it truly makes you look at life and understand it for the fragile thing that it is. We're obviously praying for all of his loved ones, for all of his family. And I think he's going to be missed in ways that, people aren't normally that play this game. It's not going to be about the plays he made, but the people that he's touched. And when you see the outpouring of love, not only from former teammates, but just from his peers in the NFL, it shows you what type of human Demaryius Thomas, was, and he'll truly be missed.
Yeah, well said. And then his entire career, you want to talk about pressure, right? I mean, we all talk about your colleague Tim Tebow being chosen in the first round of the draft that year. There was a first-round pick before that. It was Demaryius Thomas, and he comes from the school where Calvin Johnson comes from, right? And he comes into the league, and everyone's wondering, is he really a first-round wide receiver? I mean, this is way before round wide receivers are the norm now, right? Now you see 4, 5, 6 of them, and you put them right in, and you expect them to start getting 1,000-yard seasons right on the spot. And then, obviously he catches that touchdown, and then Tebow's gone. Here comes Peyton Manning. He catches his first pass, right, with first reception that Manning ever had with a Bronco. Wins the Super Bowl. I mean, it really is remarkable what he did do in Denver and how overlooked it is in the long run, Ryan.
No, it truly is. An all-pro, Pro Bowl player.
Yeah.
And I think people often forget what type of offense Georgia Tech was. Georgia Tech ran the option.
They did.
Yeah. So it wasn't like in watching Demaryius Thomas, you got an opportunity to see what he truly could be at a wide receiver. I think that was more of the questions about him, and he answered those questions. Every question you had about him, he answered every single one of them with a resounding yes. And but also for me to hear the way all of his teammates speak about him being a better person than he was player. If you can in any way, measure that means that he was one heck of a dude.
Well, Ryan, if ESPN is still the same operation as when I was there, that means you're on the air in about another 2 minutes for something else before you do something else after that, something else. So I appreciate that another something else was this show, and I'd love to do this more often. I really love watching you and hearing what you have to say. Thank you.
My man, have a great day.
You bet. Right back at you. At RealClark25 on Twitter. You should follow Ryan Clark. I do. He's right here on The Rich Eisen Show. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.